Welcome to Witch's Chamber. So, on the page, I asked everybody what you would like me to go over. Spellcraft. What was it again? Spellcraft. Oh yes, the intolerance in the pagan community right now, or tarot and other divination. So of course the votes came in pretty good, and spellcraft first. Second, we're going to go into tarot and divination, and somewhere in there you're going to find I'm going to drop a little video about intolerance. But for now, how I've decided to do the spellcraft is it's just way too big of a topic to do in one 10-minute video. So I've decided I'm going to do a series of it. So this will be video, excuse me, it's so hot here. Video number 1 of Spellcraft at Witch's Chamber. So I thought that the best way to start was, first of all, to talk about what magic is for me. Right? So magic is, for me, is in every day. Every day, something that you are doing, or everything that you are doing, encompasses your own magic. Part of spellcraft for me is believing in your own magic, because I can show you everything to do in the spell, but if you don't believe in your spell, it's not going to work. It all starts here and here, and without that, nothing. You're just wasting your time. So before I started this video, before I started this video, I sat down here at my desk, and I have my lavender that I so lovingly harvested the other day and put out to dry. So I have a whole bunch of it, and I have some eggshells that I was grinding in my mortar and pestle. The eggshells, what do I use them for? Well, I use them in my spells, in my magic. So it's part of how I do things. Every day I find something that I can harvest, that, of course, responsibly, something that I can use in a future spell, because as a witch I keep gathering things that I know I'm going to need one day, because my intuition tells me, you're going to need this, you better get it. So I do, and lo and behold, the days come, right? So for me, part of being a witch and part of spellcraft is recognizing all the natural things that are around you that you can use to better your life, or that of your clients, or that of your friends, or that of your family. It's really endless. But so now, then I thought, well, I did write a book about spellcraft. It's called The Cracked Cauldron, a book of spells, and it's available on Amazon. This book goes into a lot of things, part of how I came to be, part of my path, and other things. But it also has some little spells in here that can be adapted for so many things. This one, the book, for me, was a part of my journey. When we moved to the East Coast, it was a totally different life, and it was very isolated. And because it was isolated, it gave me so much time to work on my craft, and so much time to grow as a witch, and to really test my faith on moon cycles. It became a big thing for me, and it still is a large part of my magic and my spellcraft is my moon cycles. So this is part A, or for the first part of this. You really need to learn your moon cycles. You need to be aware of what they are. You need to be aware of when you're casting, when you're not casting. Casting in a void of course moon will not help you. There are multiple ways to find out. You can find out online. You can order the nifty little indexes or calendars, and they'll give you all that information as to when the moon is void of course and what sign it's in. But it's important to know, especially the stages of the moon, because there are specific spells for dark moon spells, new moon spells, full moon spells. There are specific types of magic that you can work. Now, I say specific types of magic, but your intention is really everything. So you can word a full moon spell to work in a dark moon period. So the dark moon is all about ending things and putting things to rest, or the end of cycles, because the dark moon is, of course, at the end of the moon cycle. So you can do an abundance spell at the dark moon by casting around ending poverty. It works, and any spell will work as long as you believe in it. So doing an abundance spell in a dark moon phase wouldn't make any sense, because you're asking for the end of abundance. But by reversing the script and doing an abundance spell as an end to suffering or an end to poverty, then you're actually doing it in the right cycle of the moon, and you're still doing an abundance spell. You're just presenting it differently. Your intention is different, and it centers on another part of that. So spells can be pretty intricate. It's not, I don't believe that spells are something that everybody should do it. It's not the first thing that someone that is new to this path should do. I don't think that jumping right in to do a complicated spell or something like that is really beneficial, because someone who's new to witchcraft hasn't had the time to really learn that spells are something that we put out there, and it's an energy request. It's asking the gods, the universe, whatever you believe in, to materialize something that you want for your life. But in doing that, you have to think of what ramifications and what you're asking for and how it could come to you before you do that. Everything that we put out there has to come to us in one form or another. And sometimes when we don't give enough thought to what we're asking for, or we do something in a heated rush, because we just found this and we need to try this and we really want to do that, well, then things tend to go awry. And spells, when they go awry, they can be a little complicated to clean up and fix. So from experience and from cleaning up the mess of others, it can be a little daunting and exhausting. It can be done, but whether you want to do that or not is a whole other story. So you need to learn your stages of the moon. The dark moon is something we do for putting things to rest, letting things go, ending cycles. It's also a good time to do protective magic. It's a good time to do mirror magic. The dark moon is my favorite time to do magic. It's one of those, for years I hated the dark moon, because I always felt, or I didn't hate it, but I didn't like that period of the moon. I always felt that, it was tougher, harsher, and bigger things happened around the dark moon. And then I realized that that was actually the case. But when you flip the script and look at it from the other side, and you actually start to realize that, hey, this is not a bad thing, because there are so many things in your life that you would like to see an end to, like, poverty and famine and illness and so many other things. This was a great time to ask for that. Then you have the new moon, which directly follows the dark moon, and we all know that the new moon is a great time to start things anew. Like, one really great spell for the new moon that a lot of people who are new to witchcraft can do is to do the new moon planting. So if you plant a seed on the new moon, and as you're planting the seed, you're also thinking of what you want to achieve with it. And this plant represents your spell. It can be a very passive way, but yet not passive, because you're actually doing it. but it's just a simple way. Okay, not passive, but simple. Yeah. It's not easy to do this and talk about spells like this. It was easier to write the book. The book I could edit. This is more, you know, if I keep editing, I'm going to keep cutting it off and then coming back and then coming. It just becomes too complicated. So anyway, so you get to listen to me kind of figure it out as I go and think as I'm speaking. So the book. I went through the dark moon, new moon. We all know the full moon. The full moon is power. Okay, so if you're doing a spell, the way I look at things is that if you're doing a spell at any other time in the stages of the moon, it can be repeated in the full moon, depending on your wording, depending on how you ask, depending on what you're asking for. You can always use it the same way as you would the dark moon and change the perspective of the spell, but yet it's the same spell. But I find that the dark moon and the full moon are both pretty strong, powerful. Now, of course, when you have the full moon and you have supermoons and you have eclipses and other things like that, it adds a huge boost of power. It's a good time to create different things under those moons. But again, that's something for another video, because pretty sure that this series will probably run about 13 videos. So today's was the moon. Again, I go through them pretty clearly in the Crack Cauldron, a book of spells. It gives you some spells for you to cleanse with, protect with, grow your business, which of course now in these times is a little more difficult. But it starts with the dark moon and the washing away of everything before it as you move forward into the cycle. So it's helpful in that way. There's a mirror protective spell in here. This one is full moon magic, so about drawing things towards yourself. There's also candle magic, courage, power, strength, and healing spell. Essentially, I believe spells should be simple. They should be easy for you to remember. They should directly connect with you and how you're putting it out there. They will be more effective if they directly connect with you. It's okay to have someone write a spell. I've written spells for lots of people. But in writing the spells for people, I'm also an intuitive, and I pick up on what they need, and then I put that in the spell. If someone writes a spell for you, it has to connect with you. If it doesn't connect with you, then it's going to be hard for it to work. This is why I believe we should write our own. I fully believe that anything that you read in my book or anyone else's book, you can turn around and adapt to make work for you. I don't believe that spells are something that you need to have a million different tools for. That's not the way I consider spell work. The way I consider spell work is that you can use a simple knife from your kitchen as your athame. You can sit at your desk like I do, or you can stand under the moon, or you can go wherever you can go. And as long as you're speaking from the heart and you're asking for what you need and what you desire from that spell, and you believe in it, then I firmly believe it'll work for you. But spell casting and spellcrafting isn't something to walk in lightly on and just take no responsibility for. So whatever you ask for, make sure that you know how it could come to you. So, not so sure how clear all that was, but basically, learn your stages of the moon. Learn when to do magic, when not to. Avoid, of course, this moon. Like, don't do it. It's not worth it. There's also planets and all kinds of other things you can take into account. But for now, just work with your stages of your moon. And that will help you to establish a cycle that works for you. No matter where you are in the world, it will work for you because it's between you and your moon. The next video will deal with another part of spellcasting and spellcrafting. What it is, I'm not really sure yet. We'll see. We'll see what the gods say. All right? Okay, but for now, let's work on that, and I'll see you next time. This is Tess from Witch's Chamber saying good night.